Welcome to Lyve Talks, a podcast by Lyve, a tech and logistics company headquartered in Abu Dhabi. On Lyve Talks, we tackle fintech, logistics, business, and best practices in the workplace. I'm Karim Bakhache, the VP of Strategy at Lyve Global, and I will be your host. Welcome to a new episode of Lyve Talks. Today is a double special episode. First, it's the first time that we host a client, and second, it's our first year anniversary, so I'll say a few words at the end of the episode. But let's first start with our guest today. Today, our guest is Costas Papadopoulos, hopefully I said this correctly.
That's right.
Who works with the PHC group from Cyprus. Today we're going to be talking about the digitization of restaurants and F&B outlets for operators, right? And how does this digitization has impacted the operations, the people, everything that happens in, restaurants and F&B outlets. I can say that I've seen some of those changes in the last 10 years. It's been very, very, very changing continuously. But we're always happy to hear that from clients. We always see it from us giving this to businesses, but it's always good to hear from the clients, from the actual operators, what is happening when this happened. So maybe at the beginning, if you can give us a very quick intro of yourself, and then we'll get started.
Okay. Thank you, Karim. It's a pleasure to be here today, and well done for a great content you are producing with the Lyve Talks. Is valuable for us as operators to get insights for the global trends and what's new, what's coming up. Definitely, talking for myself, I've been in the industry since 1996. When I started working, I was a student back then. I was doing jobs like frontline jobs like waiter, bartender, and, slowly got into the management position. Since 2003, I'm dealing with franchise chains, and since 2015, I joined the PHC group, which is a leading company in Cyprus market, dealing with QSR and fast casual dining concepts. I passed through the operation, through area manager positions, operation positions, and lately we are dealing with a department that is handling the delivery business of the group, call center services, and fleet management for the whole needs that's related to restaurants or headquarters. So we provide these services for the total group of PHC. For me, this journey has been great. I learned so many things. I work with great operators and leaders, well known in our small island, but as well as in Europe due to the franchise chains that we operate. I work most of the time together with Spiros. I'm sure you know him,
yes,
due to the launch of this project. At the same time, with our current CEO, Andreas Evstathiou, and the Executive Chairman, Lysandros Ioannou. PHC was a great university for me. If I could put this, I don't know, in a small code, if you want, the only reason I could see a little bit further is due to I stand on the shoulder of giants. So when you enter this family, definitely it has a tremendous impact on you. You learn so many things. You add a professional value, personal value, and you are up to date with what's going on in the industry, and you learn by the best. We're results oriented and want to have a great impact in our island.
Of course. It seems to be a very long and great journey. I mean, starting all the way from the front of the house and going all the way to the management. So you're probably very well seated to see what has happened in the last now 20, 30 years of digitization. But I personally remember how it was when I was very young. There's nothing called digitization almost.
It was a pen and paper.
Pen and paper, and even delivery was calling someone, hey, can I just order this? And you never know when it's going to happen or if it will ever happen. So tell us maybe a bit more from your perspective. How have you seen this changes overall for the past, maybe not 20 years, but 5 to 10 years? Especially lately. I mean, everybody remembers what happens pre-COVID, post-COVID, but this digitization has been going on for a while. It's not something new. It's just it got accelerated, as everybody could imagine. But look at it from maybe if you think 10, 15 years ago and where we are now, if you can just tell us how this evolved.
Look, definitely is a huge subject, and I mean it had stages. I tried to cover mainly the main impact through that era, and mainly before, during, and after COVID. Definitely, the first thing is the mandatory use of technology in order to bring sales, bring growth to the organization. So it's not if you think it's good or if you think it's bad. It's a must-have. I mean, you don't have an option anymore. So I think the first thing I can put on the table is that use of technology to travel sales and growth is mandatory. Yeah. At the same time, we have the offline channels and the online channels. I think a good mixture of both is what gives to the business a potential for growth and to get the maximum out of it. Definitely, all this use of technology bring a huge impact on regulations. So those regulations may be, they're related to GDPR or cyber security or systems in place that you need to have in order to operate legally, governmental laws, labor's laws. So it's a complex environment compared to the past to operate as a restaurant, produce food. So, even though the task may be simple, the whole operation is complicated. And throughout the years, this has been complicated more and more and more, So the life of the restaurant manager and the people working in the restaurant has been much more complicated than when I started, let's say, back in 1996, yeah? Consumer trends and needs. I mean, COVID and post-COVID period, it has a tremendous impact. I mean, this is changing rapidly, fast. You wake up the next day and something else comes up. So I think it's something that being in the restaurants, we feel that the last 5 years, I could say, especially during COVID and after COVID, we feel that on a more regular basis. It's not that changes will happen in a year. It's changes are happening in a month, in a week, in a couple of days. So yeah, consumer insights, what the customers' values, it changed. We need to keep up with it. Definitely, things related to data analytics, artificial intelligence, things that we used in the past. I mean, in the past, we were struggling to get some data to support an opinion. Nowadays, is how we correlate this all together in order to get, the right decisions based on facts and figures, and keep the lead into the market, So I think this is another parameter that changed a lot in our industry. Definitely, when it comes to operations, the whole thing is different, yeah? I mean, the way we plan, the way we execute, the way we control, the way we evaluate is nothing to do with how was this industry, 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And I can't imagine, to be honest with you, how it will be in 5 years. Yeah. So I think this is the major aspects that's changed a lot. Definitely is much more things like, supply chain and traceability and recall. And, I mean, it's so many elements. But I think those what I refer to are the big things that you feel them in the restaurant level or the operation level. Yeah.
Makes you think if it was not simpler to be a restaurant 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. You just open a shop and people come in, eat and leave, and that's it. You're happy. Everybody's happy. Now you have to deal with technology and changes and continuously consumer that wants more and more. Like the consumer needs keep evolving. And obviously with all these, marketplaces, aggregators, whatever you want to call them, that enter the market, that even had a tremendous impact on all the operators and the small shop owners, because they were off grid, most of them, and suddenly everyone is on grid and trying to sell more, and they saw the sales growth.
Definitely, when it comes to the aggregators, I think it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time. But I think they've done so much good rather than damage. I mean, they're the ones, maybe they give us a different perspective. They push us to become better, to protect our own channels. So I think, I don't know, from my perspective, in our market in Cyprus, I know we're a very small place. I mean, most probably we don't reflect the global, global trends. But what I've seen through my experience is that definitely having people, side by side by you, in a competitive environment. This is what pushes us to become better at what we do every day. if this is delivery or is takeaway or is dining, if it's a fast casual or it's a QSR or it's a fast food. So, definitely the tools they're using, they're up to date with the global trends. And
it's true when they come in, if you think about it, in this evolving things between the last 5-10 years, when they came and they've put a standard of customer experience of what customer is going to be expecting, they kind of raised the bar to everyone saying, well, now
Right.
customer is here. Before, maybe he would accept that you don't show up after an hour, 2 hour to delivery, or he has no idea where you are or you're preparing, but now he wants to know when he clicks the button, when is the food going to arrive and when is this arriving? And if it's late, he expects some answers and not having to call. I'm just remembering my old days in the world of delivery. If you don't know, you have to call the guy and just almost have a fight on the phone, asking where is the driver. But it's things have evolved, and I think if I think about it, even at Lyve, things have evolved along the way. I mean, Lyve, when they started with pure logistics, and they evolved with the market and digitization. They saw the needs out there of having to digitize delivery, of having to digitize order generation, and that continue now. Like, we continue looking at what clients, what merchants need to continue evolving in the new era. I mean, if you look forward, everybody's talking about obviously AI now lately. So is this something that we should look at, and how does that apply to F&B? How does this apply to marketplaces? And we're looking into this, of course, because we have to evolve also as the consumer, but it's all driven by mostly consumer at the end. It goes back to customer experience. What is important for them and what do we think is helpful for them? So having said that, maybe if we now look at digitization, because we've kind of talked about the evolving, what do you think are the key components when somebody's, maybe not start, but because it's an evolving thing now, but there's certain operators maybe that haven't started, which I would be surprised, but maybe there is out there, or small shops. What would be the key components they should be looking at when they evolve or look at digitalization of their, everything related to operations of restaurants?
Okay. Look, definitely depends on the market. And I mean, each market is different. It depends on the category, but I think we have common elements. And, if I can put this simple on the table, I would say definitely one element is the technology. And we clarify how important it is nowadays. The second thing definitely is the people. I mean, technology is great, but human element is mandatory for our industry, and is the element who can make it or break it. I mean, in our industry, the human element can have an impact on the product, have an impact on the service. Retail is a little bit different, but when you're talking about food production, delivering the food items, this is a crucial element of the success or a failure of an outlet. And definitely the operation, the management, the way they see things, the way the processes in place, the commitment and the engagement, and, the workplace they create. So I think these three elements, I would consider them like the most important. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, makes sense. I mean, those are, and a lot of people forget about people most of the time when they do technology, which is always a make or break, as you say it. So let's talk about technology, right? From, the way you look at it, how do you see this technology impacting your business? And also, maybe we can talk after about the challenges and solutions that can come with, implementing a new technology.
Mm-hmm. Look, definitely, I would like to start, if that's okay with you, from the challenges, because
Sure.
I think will make more sense. So let's say the main challenges in the food and beverage industry always been, food safety, quality assurance. These two elements. It was always number one, always will be. And then it comes, the customer service need and protecting the bottom line. I mean, we're in this business to make profit.
Of course.
Yeah. Then there come other elements like, supply chain challenges, traceability, a recall of products. But I think today I would like to focus on the second two, which is the customer service experience and protecting the bottom line. So, the technology is everywhere and it's in every element, yeah. But if I will take those two, all right, definitely the impact of technology in customer service experience. At the same time, find ways to protect the bottom line, yeah. Find clever ways to be more productive, reduce the cost in order to give a valuable product without to compromise on the quality of the customer service. So it is this balance. And this is where comes the technology to give us a different perspective on this one. There are solutions like, let's say, Lyve on the last mile. Yeah, if we talk about the delivery. In the olden days, we used to have a person that will decide which order goes with which, or will club the orders and give it to a driver. When now, this can be on an automated perspective. So you get the optimum out of it, not based on a person's perception. Because we used to manage the business because we know what we was doing. If it makes sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
So now this is done based on an algo and is done based on maths and is based on taking into consideration how productive is a kitchen, when the products will be ready, in order to reach the optimum result, which is deliver the order hot and fresh and on time to the consumer. Yeah. So in every stage of the order life cycle, you can have elements of the technology. Yeah, how you put everything together for me, I think, is the next step. So how the planning process, the preparation process, how you handle the order, back of house management solutions, and you blend this with the. If we're talking about delivery with delivery, but it's not only about delivery; it's about takeaway, and it's about dine-in, and it's about drive-through, or it's about park and deliver, or park, So whatever is the division, whatever is the form that you are serving food, I think the blend of the planning, prepare, execute, deliver, and the control points in between, in order to reach to the optimum. This is the use, if I can put it simply, when it comes to food outlets. So
should I think that we're trying to automate most of these steps as much as we can?
Look, I'm not sure if it can be fully automated. What I think, definitely in a controllable environment, like if we're talking for a kitchen, kitchen is a controllable environment, and maybe some of the tasks, or maybe some of the things that are done, maybe they can be automated, or maybe they can be fully automated. I don't know in which extent, or I don't know if it's economically or financially makes sense to do that in all the concepts.
Right.
So, it's the financials, and then, it needs to make sense what you are doing. So I think definitely we'll have elements that they will be automated. There will be elements that they require the human element. When we talk about delivery, it's much more complicated, I think. So I'm looking into the technology, how it will help us to reach the optimum, instead us to try to figure out what we need to do.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
I'm looking from this perspective into it.
Now, how about, one of the common challenges that maybe not in your case, but maybe it is, and not knowledgeable about it, but is all these different sometimes systems and technology that needs to talk to each other and make sure everything is aligned, because at the end there's not one system. Unless it doesn't readily exist, or maybe there is but it's not yet deployed. Usually you end up with multiple systems, and there's all these integrations and issues that can happen. Is this something that you've experienced also?
Look, I'm not a tech guy. I don't have an expertise in tech. I'm not a developer or something like that. But definitely, I tracked it with certain projects and some integrations in a certain degree, mainly focusing on the operation, financial reporting behind it, and if it makes sense, how much impact will have on the team and stuff like that. Definitely, some of those things, they help us a lot. Okay. An integration is integration and has some stages in its pipeline. It has testing. It has challenges.
Of course.
It's things that you might set them up a way like that and make sense now, and then in 2 years you figure out that this needs to be improved because there is an opportunity to become better. And then another question comes. Definitely it's not a one solution.
Yeah.
And
yes.
and when it's not one solution, I think that things are complicated. Yeah. But I think that going back to the aggregators, I mean, when they first came into the market, there was tablets everywhere.
Correct.
Where now it's integrated with the point of sales.
Correct.
We've seen the value there because you was wasting time punching the order, and the people, instead of focusing on producing the order, they was focusing to punching the order.
Correct.
So there is a value in every element when it comes to integrations. And I think this is a very surgical approach. I think it needs a good planning because everything you do is affecting something else. Operations are crucial, and we need to look into them.
Good. Okay. Maybe let's move on to the next point. I think let's do people, because I think from experience with Lyve and previously, any implementation of technology has a very big people component. A lot of the time, a lot of operators or shops or anyone think I'll implement the technology and magically things will work by themselves, which is never the case, because of the human side of operating a technology. And a lot of companies failed in the past, and I'm not talking only about restaurants and food and beverages, which is lately, but in the past with big systems, the number one failure has always been the humans not able to interact with the technology or not have been taken through some change, because it's a change of the way of working. You said at the beginning we used to do pen and paper, and then suddenly there's tablets, suddenly I have to input something in a screen, suddenly I have to talk with people, suddenly I'm on a chat with customers. It's very different. So how do you see this people through your experience?
Look, definitely the nature of the work has changed dramatically. Yeah, I agree with you that if I can put it into numbers, I think 65% of the digital transformation that failed due to the human resistance.
Correct.
Yeah, but there's a reason behind it. I mean, this resistance is not like it doesn't make sense for those that they applied. Yeah, so I think when it comes to this digital transformation, it's very crucial the people to be on board and aligned and committed, and it needs to make sense for them as well.
Of course.
I mean, it's not a decision that I want to make this automation, because I want to do it, that's it. I mean, or the solution is never in the technology, if you ask me. I mean, the technology will help us, but if you are running a restaurant and you are understaffed, what the technology will do is not going to produce the food, yeah?
Correct.
What can do is to give you the optimum results with the resources you have.
Right.
But still you rely on the skills, on the competencies, on the commitment, on the passion of the people to bring great results. Yeah.
And these skills has evolved over time.
Yeah.
Do you see any difference in the type of the people, what they had to deal before and now? Does it mean that the skills that we are requiring now are completely different from what it was before?
I think there is a base. I mean, things are changing, but the values, they remain the same. I mean, a person working in the hospitality industry, he's into the customer service.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's some basic things that, someone needs to like to communicate with people, let's say, for example, he's energetic because it requires movement, you know what I mean? So there are certain things that they used to be there, they are here, they will be in the future. If I can put the new elements, I will use the word agility. I think people nowadays need to be very flexible, open to change, willing to change their day-to-day routine more easily than in the past. Yeah. The second thing, I think, all this transformation, it brings a tremendous volumes. Yeah, and if we are talking about kitchens,
Yeah.
I mean the peaks we have now is nothing to do with the peaks. When the divisions there was more controllable. Let's say you had tables and cashiers, and you could control the flow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
With all this, the flow that is coming in, it can be very challenging. So I think the people nowadays dealing, especially let's say with back of house or with delivery or even the cashiers, they need to be more resilient. They need to handle pressure. They need to multitask a lot. They need attention to detail. And one thing I think is they need to be willing to learn every day. It's not like they will pass a 15-day training or 1 month training. Correct. And my friend, you are ready and you work the rest of your career, in this job role because you got trained. It's not working like this, I mean, you will get trained for this platform that is working like this, and then, next week maybe will be another platform that is working something else, a new offer, menu engineering, for example. If we go to the practical things, before we used to, change every quarter or the offers or the twice per year, the menu, things like that. Now we're talking you have different offer in different funnel, a different channel, promotions that you need to be aware. You need to be able to explain to the consumer, royalty programs here and there. It's so many things that you need to know in order to be able to serve a consumer correct. Yeah, that you need to be able to willing to upgrade your skills, your knowledge, your attention to details compared to the past.
So that brings us very well into the next and the last component, which is operations. Because as you start introducing technology, which also requires new skills and new interactions, that definitely then impact your operations because there's new functions that might appear. There's also the way we operate that might change. How do you see this evolving? How did it evolve?
Yeah. Look, it's many things that change. We could talk for days about it. Yeah, when it comes to
especially you coming from operations, also.
Yeah. Looking back, how we used to lead a team. I don't know, back in 1998 or 2000. The elements that they was applying in the market back then. The pool of candidates who had the mentality of the employees. The work ethics and culture that was applying back then and what is now. Some values are the same, but how people they express themselves about it, they feel about it, definitely give us a different approach as people that we lead teams. It doesn't matter how big is your team or which department you are leading. We need to see things from a different perspective, definitely. And going back how we use the technology. Technology will give us a different perspective. Technology will free us time from manual input in order to spend this time, developing our team or building a better working environment or understanding better our customers. So I'm looking into it definitely time that we used to use from our working hours in order to understand some reports or input data or correlate data from two platforms. If we get this thing ready, it means as managers we have more time to focus to what will make the difference. And what will make the difference is our people, is the working environment, is our product. So we need to focus on those elements. We need to focus on the competition, what's going on around us, and make sure that we are there, we exist, and we provide an equal or even better experience than the rest in the market.
And is there in your experience, you've seen a function that used to be small or insignificant or non-existent that suddenly became very important, and the other way around, something that was very important but now lately is not? This is more in the operations side.
Look, I can't think something that it was important is not.
Okay.
I think what was always important, it is important, will be important because it's some basic values and principles.
Of course.
What I've seen changing definitely is let's say new positions. Yeah, we talk about e-commerce, positions in IT, QA, internal, external audits. I mean, and if you go in the restaurant, positions that before, we would have, like, let's say, dispatcher.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, there is a restructuring. Okay. Definitely, there is new skills that all of us, we need to develop in order to cope with the market, with the requirements, with the pressure that we have. But I think it goes back to what we discussed as the main principles.
Okay, I think let's maybe now recap a bit where what we've discussed. I mean, we've talked about the three components that are important: technology, people, and operations.
Yeah.
What's your kind of advice that you give to operators that are hopefully not starting digitization because they'll be too late, but let's say they're starting or evolving and facing challenges? What would be kind of your advice to these operators?
Okay, look, I think I will share my opinion. Yeah,
of course.
And I mean, it's with great love and respect. And I think the first thing, because this is a journey. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I will do it today and we'll finish it 2 months and that's it. We go home, we finish. I mean, it's a whole journey and it's endless, if you ask me. In my head, it's like that. So you need to choose your partners.
Correct.
Who's going to do this journey with you?
Correct.
I mean, I think it's the first step. Who is going to be with you in this journey? Who is going to support you? Because when we talk about technology, about people, about operations, there is things that they will go right and there are things that they will go wrong. When they go wrong is where you need the support. So I will say the first thing is choose your partners in this journey. Yeah, I think this is crucial and is very important. Yeah. The second thing, clear expectations.
Yeah,
is what you said. Some people, they think that we'll put the technology and everything is done. Sometimes we get also distracted that the solution is this, but it's not. We need to have clear expectations like, we'll do this, the success will look like that. This is what will impact. This is the resources that we need. Because it's not the technology, it's the resources to support the technology, yeah? A realistic time frame. I mean, when we talk about people resisting to this change, yes, we need to make sure that people that are on board, people that are aligned, we have a smooth transition so we'll not face this resistance.
I think the points you bring are very, 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 very valid. We've seen at Lyve many clients that seems to be impatient sometimes on how fast they can do this. And I'm talking about like 15 days and a month. I'm not even talking about months because
I hope you don't talk about me.
No, not at all. Not at all. We've been partners for very long. So I think we've seen all the ups and downs, which is a normal process, as you said, in digitization. But it's a very important thing that we also value. Like any project that we do in digitization, we sit with clients and explain to them, this is the success factors. This is how long it will take to reach there. It is not a one-day thing. You need to give it the time and the effort. And this is where some of the challenges arrive, is some of the clients don't understand that there is a lot of effort they need to put from their end to succeed. Mm-hmm. They think that, I want to reach there. Okay, I'll put the technology. I don't have time to put efforts, but I'll expect this results.
This is not going to work out. I mean, all this is coming with great effort, requires resources, it requires commitment. And when I say commitment, I mean commitment from top to bottom.
Of course.
It's not the commitment of one person that is leading the project. It's a full commitment from the organization to the frontline people to support this change. Yeah. And there are many things, but I think it's one thing that needs to be clear, that when we talk about change, yeah, definitely, at the beginning, things that will be very, very hard. And then things that will be messy, Of
course.
And when we get to a stage, things will be looking good and gorgeous and we feel great, yeah. But we'll need to pass from the first 2 stages. So things are not easy when we talk about technology, change, at least this is what I have through my experience. They're not easy. They're very exciting, though. It's an exciting journey. I will highly recommend it. And we're just at the beginning, I think.
Great. Well, listen, it was a pleasure having you on our podcast. Thank you for being with us. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the episodes.
Look, it's my first one. I hope it was good.
It was great. So listen, before we close, I just want to again say this is a special episode. It's our first year anniversary. We published our first Lyve Talk podcast episode almost a year ago. I just want to thank the marketing team, Lubna and Christelle, for doing a great job. And of course, Podster for hosting us to tape all these episodes. Thank you again, and see you next time on the next episode of Lyve Talks.